Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reviews, where today I'll be reviewing the entirety of the latest album from Vices Inc. titled Alkaline Kiss. And if we switch over to here, instantly I need you to be aware if you're watching this is going to be a long video. You can probably tell by the runtime. It's got the album art here. This is a band, Vices Inc. Eleanor Langthorne on lead vocals and viola, got Jager Hicks on guitars, keyboards, backing vocals, Hannah Leigh Adams on bass, and Christy Yeaton on drums. They're a band that I've been reviewing probably ever since I started doing these back in 2019 and 2020. And apparently they have released a total of 9 albums, 2 EPs, and a lot of different singles since then through their Southie Heights record label. And the reason I say this is because that's incredibly prolific. It's very difficult to release an album, let alone 9, let alone especially through like the COVID period and stuff like that now. And it makes me really happy that they're continuing to put out music. And I will say, just to acknowledge any potential bias that I'm going to try and avoid, that I do typically enjoy my time with their music. They've come a really long way through the previous materials I've heard from them, and I am genuinely looking forward to checking this out. I plan on reviewing the first 10 tracks and then having a little break and then reviewing the next 9 and then doing my overall conclusion. It's a lot of information to be able to remember till the end. Like, I will go over what I've listened through and give an overall, but you're probably going to have to assume that each track is going to have its own sort of mini conclusion after each. So that's why, again, this is a bit of a longer video, but it's just so that I do it justice. But we're going to listen through this album from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Starting with Bright Skies, Overcast, let's go. What do we got? Interesting sound design. There is a definitive spaciness and expanse to it. And this constant interest. There's like variation within the way it's written, the different instrumental layers, the harmonies and melodies through the vocals are compelling. Just those reverb tails, right? There's a real sense of darkness to it. So I thought part of what I liked about Bright Skies Overcast, the first track off of this album, is that it starts with that really slow build. You kind of have this sort of static kind of sound, and we kind of rise into that snare fill, moving forward into a mixture of those different guitar. Like we have those synth expanses, those parts in the intro as well, where it kind of surrounds you and almost seems kind of cinematic. And there's a lot of tension there because of the way it's processed. And I don't actually know if that tension really goes away. There is a kind of a murkiness to the clean guitar arpeggios that we have during the quieter sections with the occasional open hi-hats, the eighth note grooves on the kit, the bass following through those and occasionally modulating through the scales. But like ultimately, I think you have this kind of A and B side where again there's a sense of sadness and not melancholy, but like just an uncertainty through those quieter bits that is contrasted with how sort of dynamic those distorted parts are. There's a kind of a more of a kind of intense sort of sound to those mid to highs there. With the power chords, the way that you go to a parallel major, I think, on the end of some of those runs. And it's kind of cool because it's an unexpected chord. Like there are some chromatics within this piece that illustrate more than a fundamental understanding of music theory and composition. Performatively, it was tight. There were absolutely no issues there. I think that the singer exhibited sort of solid vocal technique, very comfortable within their range, and the backing vocals matched well as well. And I just feel like the soundscape from the start, just to close with the with again like the slow build, the automation there with the synths and the expansion and everything like that, moving into like a minor oriented piece there, which is, as I understand it, it's about someone on the run, kind of not necessarily knowing what they're doing and be mindful of it. They just are going through the motions, but it involves hurting other people, and they sort of want to run away. But there's just a sense of danger to both the where they're going. They're uncertain of what will happen, and also they themselves are dangerous because of their uncertainty about their own actions or effect. So it's just a really interesting premise for a song, and we shall continue. Truculent, number 2. Great panning of those vocals on the sides there, very atmospheric. That tension there. Makes her wrong. Oh, this is what it must be like. Oh, without having to fake a smile. Oh, or having to apologize for how I feel or what's inside. Truculent, but it's alright. Oh, we've got lyrics for this one as well. Awesome. Just realized. I'm the girl, a savage former people pleaser. I want the curse, never one to bend to pressure. I've got the world wrapped around my middle finger. Suck it off and you'll remember how it feels to taste the power. There's so much room filling your shoes. And just the power, the force of that being balanced in the frequency spectrum. And just having a bit of that sort of like the differentiation there, having it very sort of story heavy, and then kind of coming down to this and having more of sort of a vocal melodic part to be able to appreciate the other instruments like those drum fills as well. It's just really effective. And there's variation in those melodies and harmonies as well, which is nice. What does truculent mean?
But it's alright.
I'll have to Google that afterwards, or search for it afterwards.
Truculent, but it's alright.
Oh, and the explosion and sci-fi sounds afterwards as well. Dude, it's fantastic. Like, the lyrics are really interesting here. I'm just gonna just check what truculent means. Okay, so apparently truculent is eager or quick to argue or fight, aggressively defiant. I think I can be truculent sometimes. You know the girl, promising but quick to anger. You've heard it first from a diplomatic father. You've said the words in the end, it doesn't matter. Furious but not so clever. I am the girl, a savage form of people. Oh, I get it. I get it. I understand it. So I think that truculent is just, it's about someone who is being described by others as quick to anger, and it's their affectation, like they're commenting on like the way they approach life, their intelligence, their relationships with others, like their father, for example. And then it's from the girl's perspective, you know, the people pleaser, etc. And I think that effectively it's trying to comment on the whole people pleaser thing, saying that because someone is quick to anger, that doesn't actually mean that, like have you considered, for example, that they have just been pressed or pushed so many times that they struggle to not lose it when someone continues to go up against them. You know what I mean? It's like, it's very easy to say someone just has a short temper or whatever, but have you considered what made them like that? I think that's kind of it's basically talking about the duality of perception versus what actually is, you know, their actual experience, people making assumptions that they can't necessarily back up. But what I think I enjoy the most about the song is that it follows through on a similar sort of pattern to Bright Skies Overcast in regards to the tones and textures of the instruments there. You have those arpeggiated kind of misty sounding guitar parts on the right sides, right and left. You have the bass being able to sort of spin around a bit, but it's got a sort of certain kind of menace that helps it to niche well with those cleaner textures, but also just the abyssal hole that opens up when you get into that hook section. It's just so ferociously heavy. I really appreciate that there was so much room in this piece for the drummer to do lots of interesting sort of like tom fills and stuff going from the left to the right stereo field. I appreciate the post-production, especially in that interlude section where it kind of came back a bit and allowed time for more of a drum solo-ish kind of thing. And you don't really see that many or hear that many drum solos, so it's great when they occur, you know? But it's also the fact that I liked how the vocals were processed on the left and the right side there. They kind of swim around. We're having fun with that post-production stuff to make it more interesting beyond the effort made to make the actual composition compelling. And there's that end point where you talk about the person maybe exploding or not, that quick to temper thing, and you have that explosion at the end when that realization finally hits about the situation, or maybe the person's just been sort of egged on too much that they do explode near the end. And it's just a sort of like sci-fi sound like some of the parts we had earlier on. It's really cool. There's a sort of a consistency and connection between them that I think is imperative in an album. As a final comment, I just really appreciate the fact that we are trying to have different sections and adjust our chord progressions and bass lines. It is not a given that you will have that nowadays. There are a lot of songs I listen to and review where we are very, very comfortable with just that main sort of idea. Or we are just so experimental that there's almost a lack of cohesiveness or connection between things. So I appreciate that the transfers are smooth and that we're trying to not only make adjustments just to keep things exciting, but also in a way that matches the movement of the lyrics. It also matches the expression there. It's just fantastic. We've got Unsure with Insecurities, track number 3. Really interesting fourth chord there. Is that a third harmony or different guitars doing different parts?
Losing the fight. Every time I try, it's just not right. And you stole everything you know. You've been living off of the things that I wrote. Can't take blame, live without shame. You're a
Very used to those lead guitars.
Slowly getting lost inside your mind. As quick as it comes, you're still overwhelmed by every little thing that's in your head. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah.
It's just a catchy melody, right? Catchy unison melody or harmony.
Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah,
Really happy with that. Ooh, the bluesy.
hey, hey, hey. Yeah.
Just a really smooth lead-in, you know?
Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, yeah.
That one seems like a far simpler affair than the previous ones. I was listening to the lyrics and I kind of got a little bit lost in the music as I went by. So I'm going to have a listen through the first verse or the chorus just in a moment to sort of like refamiliarize. But to be fair, the chorus was the hey, 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 that kind of stuff anyways, which is still cool. It's just you don't get as much context from that as you might from the other parts, you know. So I'll just be right back. Okay, so this is actually a really sad song. I think this is describing someone who is just going through the worst possible introspection experience. Like you just constantly pummeling and berating themselves, and they're unsure of themselves, what's real and what's not within their own insecurities. They don't know. It's terrible. Like I personally can relate to this, and I feel like a lot of people can too. And what I think I can also appreciate about this album so far is that there are stories in here which aren't like exclusive to the band. There are human experiences. And I think that there is the ability for people to learn from these tales and maybe even look at themselves and wonder what they can do differently. Especially because when you hear them discussing the way they're fucking insane and all that kind of stuff, and out the people, like it's hard to hear that. And the way that it's sung is so earnest, and it sounds like the person singing it has gone through this, like they're talking about their own, and that's so believable. And you just have this constant distortion for a lot of this track where it kind of insinuates that there's that kind of harshness with your thoughts for the entire song. And so you're left with a track where I was expecting there to be differences, but then it kind of makes sense that there wasn't when you get the track into context. And that hey, hey, hey is almost like saying, I think all this stuff, but whatever, you know, it's just what it is, almost becoming melancholic with it. And I think that, again, the drums were fantastic. They were nice and tight. I appreciate the fact that we had that affectation of the melancholy in the chorus, that we weren't trying. That was just what it is. We're just saying whatever, you know. And I just think as well, the harmonies from the guitars as a closing comment were pretty. There was more of an octave focus on a lot of it, but just when we went into those triads or those minor harmonies, and we added the leads on top to arpeggiate and fix that, sort of add to that high end there was a sense of glow despite it, almost like we were kind of accepting it what it is. I'm not sure, like I'm going to think about this track in the context of the rest of the album, but I'm really happy with this piece. I think having a more simple way of structuring and affecting this one made sense with the subject matter, and I appreciate it. We'll go track number 4, Cinnamon.
You're captivating when you look at me like that. Intoxicating with a touch that defies reality. Manipulating with a hint of your sweetness. A little cinnamon electrifies me. Inhibitions all destroyed.
Interesting second chord in that phrase. Modulating between semitones.
Exhilarating when you're touching me like that. Accelerating towards the end, the brink of infinity. Excruciating when you pinpoint my weakness. A little cinnamon to pacify me. Nothing's civilized. Keep out of my mind and my exasperating when you talk to me like that. Illuminating all your monstrous flaws and qualities. Hallucinating all the things that I could have. A little cinnamon to liquefy me. Nothing's civilized. Keep out of my mind and my heart.
Wah pedal? Almost like a flamenco flair to it, isn't it?
I kiss your lips and it tastes like contamination with the snap of your fingers. Obliteration to what relates to my reality. Manipulation with a hint of your sweetness. A little cinnamon to paralyze me. Now you've got me paranoid. I'm addicted to you, can't avoid. All lies, nothing civilized. Keep out of my mind and my heart.
Great extension of that phrase. Well done doing halftime.
I kiss your lips and it tastes like cinnamon.
Crazy. So that was Cinnamon on track number 4. I kind of got this one a little bit earlier. You kind of, it's talking about how this person, you get the feeling that this person has this connection to this, like it's a toxic relationship. And but when they get kissed by this person, they talk to them a certain way, it kind of paralyzes them. You know, like they're trying to fight back against it, but it's just a situation where they can't really fight against that sort of seduction that's taking place, I suppose. Or like it's just the other person makes them weak, and they kind of hate that. It's just a toxic relationship they're describing. It's really interesting that we're going through these different angles of this. It kind of is making me understand the album a bit more. I feel like there's a sense of like desperation that rings out in the vocal performance, especially in those chorus sections where we get a bit heavier with it. And there's like this constant back and forth with that da 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 da, almost like we're trying to sort of let the person know that we can't really find a way to escape. We just keep running back and forwards to the same wall. And so I feel like the guitar represents that really well. You know, that guitar riff working between those different root notes there. The bass note has a nice loop in that chorus section where it kind of rolls with the roots. Da, 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 boom. It kind of like rolls back into itself. And there's a lot of cool sort of mid-range kind of fizzy leads near the end with the guitars. And I think we have like these different sort of arpeggiated higher end kind of like lead riffs there that really do add a lot of range compositionally towards this. I think the drums as well, lots of interesting 8th and sort of offbeat 16th note kick and snare grooves with tom fills to sort of spare between. And I like the fact we had that in the all time went to the half time at the end to kind of slow things down and make it sort of more of a breakdown. This feels like an objectively, like there might have been the melodic or harmonic minor in this one as well, although it was either modulated between the two or it was like switching up. I don't think it was necessarily a key change, but just, yeah, it's great to use stuff outside of the major or minor scales. And I appreciate the fact that we went with a more exotic flair for this. And just the song just flew by. It was 3 minutes 22, but it was just so straight. It was really great. I love when I listen to a track and I'm surprised that it's ended. We're getting into some longer ones soon, I think, but we got right through track number 5. Oh, some kind of ghostly pads on the sides. Nice.
It's that will they, won't they kind of talk. The illusion of a choice unsaid. Like the cat that's trapped inside the box. I'm wondering if it's alive or dead. Any minute they'll be washing windows. Oh, they'll see them all come clean. And in a minute when they wipe away the pain, I know they're gonna see right through me. It's that roller coaster kind of love. Prophetic tracks by which I'm bound. Feel it pulling as I reach the top. Knowing what goes up must come down. Any minute they'll be washing windows. Oh, they'll see them all come clean. And in a minute when they wipe away the pain, I know they're gonna see right through me. Any minute they'll be washing windows. Oh, they'll see
And iterating that lead on the side. Nice.
And in a minute when they wipe away the pain, I know they're gonna see right through me. They're gonna see right through me. They're gonna see right through me. Any minute they'll be washing windows. Oh, they'll see them all come clean. And in a minute when they wipe away the pain, I know they're gonna see right through me.
So at this point, I feel like we've had a lot of the hook. And I appreciate the different sounds, such as the sequencer kind of almost spacious, moogish kind of lead synths that we have, the really pretty sounds. I appreciate the arpeggios from the guitar parts, the single string stuff. So splitting those chords up. I think the bass line and the low but offbeat thing is not something we've had from like the organs or whatever it is on the side. We haven't had that yet. And it's a great sort of counter to some of the on-beat stuff going on. It just makes me wonder what we're going to do to make the most of that extra 1 minute 7 real estate.
Any minute
Okay.
they'll be washing windows. Oh,
There's some brighter synths in the top end with a bit of reverb as well, which is kind of very pretty.
and in a minute when they wipe away the pain, I know they're gonna see right through me. Any minute they'll be washing windows. Oh, they'll see them all come clean. And in a minute when they wipe away the pain, I know they're gonna see right through me. They're gonna see right through.
Oh, so that was piano on the side there on the offbeats. That's cool. What is that Atmos synth? Interesting. All right, so I feel like this was a more conservative track from Vices Inc. Right through. I appreciate that we were comfortable with the hook line there and in the chorus sections, and I feel like it's more effective because you're not like there's like a to and fro for we added some call and responses there, later on the sides with the harmonies, and I thought that was great. And I think for a track where there is a sense of emptiness in certain parts because of a lack of stuff in the high end there, the focus on the drum kit and the basses and stuff like that was sweet. I think that the piano being in that mid range on the side was a smart move because you it kind of contrasted with the sparkle of the choruses with the guitars on the top end, and you had like kind of twinkly synth kind of fizzing away up top. Like there is a similarity to the way that we sung, but the variation was it was the instrumental layers and stuff. And I think that overall, that minorish feel there was just a sweetness and a softness with some of the vocal pads, though. That almost kind of made it sound like it was relaxing, almost like we were starting to come to terms with the fact that we could be seen through. Because I think this is basically about people examining us and actually letting us through. And if we were to actually be helped by someone, would we want them to see who we truly are, etc. This could be the start of wanting to get help after the issues with Cinnamon and stuff like that. Especially with, the other stuff with Truculent and Unsure with Insecurities. I think they're related. But ultimately, I think it's about someone just kind of iterating, kind of going through their head about what would happen if someone tried to look in and see who they are. And I just think the window cleaning is a nice sort of allegory for that. And I don't really have any complaints about this. I'm not sure I feel like it was long enough in the sense that the theme itself was interesting. We had enough variety within the layers, and it wasn't like we would kind of played it out to an extent. I feel like if we had tried to go any further with this, like structurally, it would have been too much. So I feel like we chose a good place to end the song, and having that kind of weird kind of like low end kind of resonance there kind of added a sense of, oh, are we really sure we want to get seen through? But yeah, we're definitely keeping a similar sort of aesthetic throughout this album, and I like the kind of darker tones within it. We've got, like Cyanide, track number 6. We're using a pick. That's cool.
Suffocate me. Cry for air on the inside. Someone save me from this hell I fantasize.
I think it's great use of a longer form factor so far. Great tail.
On the brink, I
interesting melody there.
Sleep and dream of better things, and I could fall asleep and dream of better things, and I could fall asleep and dream of better things, and I could fall asleep, I fall asleep, I fall away.
It's just gorgeous with the way that these guitars are processed. Relying on that filtering to make it a bit more subtle as a sublayer. We finish with the big chord at the end. And that's incredibly disconcerting. The waving, sort of festering textures here. Especially after how beautiful that earlier section was with those guitar parts. Almost sort of grunge-ish, reminds me a lot of the stuff from the early 90s. Really cool song. Like Cyanide, I feel like as a through composed piece, well, not necessarily, but there was some like back and forth A and B slides, etc. It wasn't absolutely avant-garde, but what I mean is just as a longer form piece, I think that they did very well. I'm not really sure. I might have missed it. I'm not necessarily sure how it applies to Cyanide. I'm kind of wondering if this track is about someone simply wanting to sort of sleep through all of the stuff that they're working through, as if it's just kind of they're just so tired from it that it's almost like they just don't know what else to do apart from just try and kind of block it out, you know. Or maybe just kind of giving into it as that sweetness. I'm not sure. Like, I feel like I'd need another time through it to properly understand it. It's a track where we predominantly have, again, some really interesting ideas, like vocal lines that they kind of stick to a lot of melodies that are easy to like kind of follow along to and stuff. But we have some interesting sort of like fluctuations, and we have some nice sort of vibrato-ish parts there. And we really do kind of play with the listener's expectations here. We're not doing the same thing the entire time. I appreciate in certain parts, such as near the end, where those guitar parts on the sides are at a high range, the way they're filtered and reverb, then they have a bit of sort of vibrato and kind of like modulation of those, how they sort of work all around that. I enjoy the fact that the drums are so supportive in this one. Like, they're typically pocketing. It's just having that sort of restraint to understand that there are other parts that need to have that kind of forefront. It's something that's happened within the entirety of this album. It just continues here, you know, even if you have space to be able to do more. I mean, like, there's different drum fills, don't get me wrong, there's like different drum fills throughout. There's variations with the kicks and snares and stuff like that, and transfers and stuff like that. But it's also understanding the power of just an eighth note kick and hi-hat groove. It's just really cool. The bass line has some interesting little kind of almost sort of solo-ish bits there. They play around with expectations, and I appreciate the call and response that they have in certain parts of the verses, where they have a verse line and you kind of have the bass line stop and then continue, and then stop and continue, like stop, starty kind of stuff. And what's also kind of cool is that we have like a bar or a half bar extension on certain parts that allow it to be like, oh, we're continuing, oh, we're pulling back, etc. We kind of play with expectations there as well. In a piece like this where it's a longer one, you need less predictability in places where it's not necessarily required. So for example, if you just had like all these different key signature changes, it would be kind of potentially be quite hectic and sort of like hard to kind of go with. But when you have this consistency in certain instruments tones that have been captured throughout the album so far, you have a piece where it's like, okay, I understand what they're trying to accomplish here. They're trying to keep it connected, but also it's meant to be more sort of a misty, wistful situation, contrasting with tracks like Cinnamon and other, like other ones we have more sort of bombastic sort of guitar and bass and drum parts and everything like that. But I think all in all, it's just an incredibly soothing piece. There's a lot of textures here which kind of like make it feel like it's kind of sleepy night times, and I enjoy that. I think that it represents what we're talking about within the story from a production's perspective, allowing that space within the mix, and the arrangement to be able to do that is cool. But that last part, we just had the kind of horrible sounding guitar parts in a good way, don't get me wrong. Just the row, just the way they're kind of twisting and turning and writhing was just such a fantastic ending because it's just so out of left field. It's like, wait, why is this happening? As the fact that we're finally falling asleep to this and we're dreaming like this is waking up the nightmare. Is that what we're doing? Is it easier to sleep than to be awake and to have to cope with this? It kind of infers that, and it kind of fades away regularly as if when you go to sleep, you actually have those nightmares, for example. There's just so much you can take from the music to kind of try and figure out where they're going with this that leaves you in a state where it's like, I enjoy the fact they've been able to be creative with this and do their own thing, and I thoroughly advocate for them doing more long form factor stuff like this. So I feel like they did really well with like Cyanide there. There was a similar sort of like minor feel, but there were some major elements there which almost seemed uplifting, as if the sleep was the hope that they were looking for. I just appreciate the use of the hidden chest voice from the singer. They're very clearly very comfortable, like manipulating their chords and everything like that in a way where it's like they know exactly what sound they're going for now. And it's just really authentic. And track number 7, Only a Fool. Ah, that flat second.
Only a fool would fuck up my life. Only a fool would fuck up my life. Crack a smile while twisting the knife. Thought putting me down could bring you higher. I see your joy in watching me cry. Yeah, only a fool would add to my list. Fuck around while I'm getting pissed. Try keeping me down. That you'll regret. You're not the only.
I like that we're rapping. I think that's a kind of cool twist in this album.
There are sharks in the water and they're dying to eat.
That parallel major.
What'd you say about me? What'd you say about me? No one's coming to save you. You can't go. You can't go.
No one coming back down. Great twist there. Oh, and that dissonance makes a lot of sense.
Fuck up my life. Crack a smile while twisting the knife. Thought putting me down could bring you higher. I see your joy in watching me cry. Yeah. There are sharks in the water and they're dying to eat.
That's fun. I wasn't expecting the growlies, but I kind of dig them. I think they kind of suit this track. It's more aggressive. It's meant to be a bit more kind of like that.
What'd you say about me? What'd you say about me? No one's coming to save you.
crazy. Death growls. I like it.
Only a fool would fuck up my life. 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 Only a fool would fuck up my life.
I thought we were going to continue with that speed. Oh, good job.
There are sharks in the water and they're dying to eat. What you say about me? What you say about me? There are sharks in the water and they're dying to eat. What you say about me? What you say about me?
And the tremolo picking near the end, just the freneticism of that. Dude, excellent. Well done. So this is quite a unique experience. I'll let it play till the end. So this is quite a unique experience because we had those kind of death growly parts there. You get the impression it's the person that's been screwed with, and they are in their own head. You know, they're trying to maybe confronting the other person. They're saying, "Look, you've made my list. How dare you laugh at me whilst you hurt me like this? How dare you do this to me?" And the growls and screams are like the angry spirits that I wanted to kind of kick the crap out of him. And it's fantastic. I love it. I think that there is a time and place to use the growlies. And in this sort of situation, it works really, really neatly. I like the fact that they're on the sides to sort of accompany the main vocals. And I like that they're a thing that came in eventually, because you had a little bit of it, and you just kind of add more and more and more and more as it becomes more like sort of, no, seriously, you've got to back off. You know, you've got to back off. This is not okay. You've screwed me for the last time. We're not going to continue like this. Yeah, so Only a Fool. I think that's what the song is about. I thought the rapped parts in the verse was great as well. It was nice to have a different way of communicating, because it's just nice to know we had that range there. And that the rhythm of that was like kind of dope as well, because kind of fit. It was a nice contrast to some of the more constant elements of some of the guitar parts with the strumming there, whether it was the one and two eighth note strumming of the distorted parts with the 16th tremolo parts there, and occasionally getting to 30 seconds maybe near the end, or triplets or 16th triplets. But just the chord changes as well, moving into the trepidation of that chorus section, rising up and then back smack down into that verse. We get more sort of like more of the hard-hitting stuff, and it's just the solo section as well was great. I liked the presence of the guitar in this one. I feel like having it in the forefront as an alt to the main vocals is solid because of the fact that it deserved to be there. And I think that the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da in the second half, just having a bit of extra speed there was kind of cool. I think like there's a balance to be had when you do production, or rather a balance to be had when you're talking about guitar solos. I mean, if you go too fast, it can almost seem like it's maybe like not appropriate for it, because it just almost seems like you're trying to make it about the solo or your ability to play rather than what's necessary for the piece. Those kind of wistful, kind of soulful bends and stuff like that in the first half were a nice foil for those faster elements in the second. There was just range in there, and we were carefully, I think, trying to pay attention and care to what the singer was doing, whilst also having her own identity. I feel like we found a really good balance there. Yeah, I think that a lot of what I appreciate about the song was the efforts from the singer to kind of make it compelling. The harmonies on the guitars were great. The chordal choices there with the octaves and some of the tremolo pick parts adding a bit of sort of a bit of stress to it. And it sounded like it was in your face enough in order to be believable. And I just think the flat second at the start, right off the bat with the Phrygian, just that kind of oof, you know, that discomfort, that sense of oof, something bad is going to happen is just awesome. It just sounded heavy. We've got track number 8, Selective Memory. Triads? Not triads. Tritones? And police.
Scared to the touch. You're a frightened little beast who just got stuck. And I must confess, I love the rush. Liar's game.
Great reverse take there.
I know you don't know all you claim, and I must confess, I live to play. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Trying so hard to rewrite all that was. Why do I even try? Why do I even try? Racing to stamp out every fire in your mind. Scared to admit you're weak at the knees, but just won't quit. And I must confess, I'm losing it. Liar's hell, forced to say things you never tell. And I must confess, I knew this well. Who do you think you are? Trying so
Great call and response.
rewrite all that was. Why do I even try?
Might be a bit of bass resonance here, I'm not sure.
Racing to stamp out every fire in
More solos. Spoiled. Spoiled for solos. That was a fun mode. What a neat little chromatic we had there.
Scared to the touch, and liar's game, and scared to admit, and liar's hell, and scared to the touch, and
Oh, what? Are we?
liar's game, and
Whoa, whoa, what's happening here? Whoa, 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 whoa. That sounded like something weird was going on there. Dude, I was tripping then. I was like, why is it suddenly getting faster? And I was having a look at this Spotify and it was like, it looked like the seconds were going up faster or something like that. That caught me. That caught me. Is that a unison note on the vocals held the whole time through? Wow, that's clever. That's actually got me that time. Wow, that got me real good, man. Yeah, that was really, really interesting. So like, I've said interesting a lot. That was fascinating. There is a different word. Fascinating. That was a fascinating track. Selective memory. I think given the police sirens and the fact they were discussing, I think it's about someone forgetting the sins they've committed in the relationship and maybe saying, "Hey, don't do this to me. Things have always been good." After the, after the only a full song, you're saying the person was fucking with you, and this person's like, "No, everything's good. What are you talking about?" And it's like, "No, it's lies. Do you not remember the police sirens and stuff like that?" So I think there's been some severe abuse going on, but unfortunately, it also makes for compelling media. Like it makes for compelling stories. And I just think the Foley of the police siren was really clever. I think that having that that kind of unison note in that top range, especially near the end with like the speeding up of the tempo and stuff like that it was wonderful because it took me by surprise. And it's something that's like constantly almost like speeding itself up, getting closer and closer to the conclusion, and boom, things just kind of fizzle out almost like they were never going to get to the top in the first place. And to not have vocals for the first 30 seconds, to simply mostly have sort of guitar and sort of bass and drum elements there with the police siren, but that being as much context as you need shows that this band is comfortable writing music, and even like in a longer form factor track, like, well, not really longer form track, just like at 7 minutes, but like they don't feel the need to kind of rush an intro, rush to get the information to you. They understand how to get that context or information across without sort of like phoning it in and trying to sort of like spoon feed it to you. I really appreciated some of the more unusual note choices in the guitar solo there. I think that was kind of spicy. The boom, 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 or whatever it was there. The way we kind of held on to that. We kind of held on for dear life. And it just had a great kind of sort of quirkiness to it that made it sort of more memorable, I suppose, and differentiated itself from some of the other guitar solo parts within this piece. I think we've clearly established a sort of core fundamental setup of different instruments and ingredients within these pieces, alongside a plethora of other elements and inclusions that I think are great, not including the Foley stuff that's going on. And I like the fact that they typically do work incredibly well with each other. I think there was like a bass resonance at some point that I could hear, but otherwise it was very, very, very good. And just I think the comment on the tritones at the start, just the third chord of the phrase there was almost boom, boom, boom. It's just very kind of blunt. It's a blunt change, almost like you're being faced with the truth of the matter. We just keep looping back to that. No matter how much you squirm or try to wiggle away from it, you have to face the truth of what you've accomplished, what you've done, because you can't have a selective memory about it. So I think this track is talking about not being able to have that selective memory. But yeah, lots of range, structurally interesting. No complaints at all with that one. We've got Imposter Syndrome, track number 9. Oh, the radio. Intriguing phrasing. Time signature? Sorry, I'll go back a little bit to appreciate, but just the fact that you have the tom focus on the right side, you have that on the left, right? It's just really cool when you play with where people are focused and you go like that and then boom, smack into another section. It's just really cool sound design, man. Interesting. The noises and voices in your head. You got more of that kind of radio static to filter. And there are fins. I'm a failure at the end, really quietly. Interesting sound design, having that as the lowest part of it. You know, like something you really have to listen to. You're kind of searching for that at the end. This is Imposter Syndrome. Track number 9, as I understand it. Yeah, number 9. We're nearly halfway through this album. It's pretty wild. The song is about someone, I think, who doesn't feel like they deserve what they have. They're like just not really sort of coping with the reality of the situation they're in. It's maybe after how they've been treated. And I think this track is like talking about how if they're not good enough for this person, they'll find someone else, in the sense that they can maybe never be good enough for the person, so they feel like an imposter. They don't trust reality, they trust the people around them, they don't trust themselves, etc. It's just a very broken person who's sort of like just struggling, talking about this, call themselves a failure. The thoughts just consistently attacking them. I think there'll be people that can relate to this. There'll be people that sort of empathize or sympathize, whichever comes first, or maybe even both. And it's sung, I just think the sound design with the voices near the end is like that kind of festering sort of sound that kind of quietens out, I suppose, once you get away from the thing causing the static. That sigh of relief that you get on the left side of the headphones before going into the chorus is maybe someone taking a deep breath before either speaking their truth, or taking a deep breath because they've got that load off their shoulders. Either way, it's just little things like that kind of you piece together with the extra parts of the track and kind of create a picture, an illustration. And you have this majorish focus in the chorus that almost makes it, it's almost sort of like romanticizes the concept of getting away from that sort of source of toxicity, with the minor feeling being yourself alone, dealing with the thoughts in your head, with those sort of gritty kind of textured guitar riffs at the start, for example, that kind of go at the end with the radio filter. The drums and bass are thoroughly supportive here. The vocals are sensational. And I just love, again, those pad-like effects there, the smoothness and sweetness of them on the sides is just really elegant. And it's just another really well-written track that I feel like, again, the sound design and sort of like the voiceover and stuff, they elevate it. We've got the last track before I have a quick break. This is number 10, I Really Wanna This Time. It's got a swing feel with it, which is kind of cool.
Do you really want to fight temptation? Do you really want to turn and walk away tonight? I can't lie.
Oh.
I really want to try. Do you really want to fight attraction? Do you really want to kiss your chance goodbye tonight?
There's just no place to pause. Great development. What is that little, there was like a little bouncing, ba 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 ba. There's just an interesting effect on the end of that. The bounciness of the guitar riff, by the way, just before we continue, because there is no point to pause within this track. It's just smooth the whole way through. It's just great to have a bounciness to the rhythm and grooves of it, the guitar in time with the bass, with the drums and everything. Da 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 da. And it's so tight. It's such a tight performance. It's more effective, and you kind of gotta have that level of polish in order to pull off music in this kind of style.
I really wanna. I really wanna. I really wanna come see the show. I think you know it starts when I go. I really wanna. I really wanna. I really wanna. I really wanna when I make you mine. You'll see this time. I really wanna. 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 I really wanna.
And just the triplets here are sensational. Yeah, awesome. Nah, man, I'm sold on this album so far. Just this track, I really wanna this time. It's an interesting turn for me. I'm not sure whether they mean with the original person or with another. I'm not sure whether a lot of this has been the person's own insecurities or whatever, but I'm pretty sure it's been related to whether other people have treated them. It's just difficult for me to sort of ascertain the total sort of reality of it. The universe that they're sort of describing here, but I get the impression that whatever the decision they're trying to make here is, the intention is for them to really have this one big go at it this time. Maybe it's sort of saying, I really want it this time. That they've kind of gone back and forth in like a toxic relationship or like another relationship with another person outside of the toxic work, and they're like, we really want to make this work this time. You really mean this much to me. We are definitely like personally invested into it. And as I've said, the bounciness of it, the kind of swing groove of the guitars, bass, drums, not swingers and jazz, but like the dun, the 1 and 2 and 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and that kind of stuff there. Just I like the fact that we've got that kind of swing and sort of a dance feel to it, in a sense that it almost seems like we're kind of bounding towards each other. There's a sense of enthusiasm about it. The intensity of those power chord sort of guitar riffs with those kind of octave chords, the spicy tones to those, the bass line and the drums working together so ferociously well within it. And even like in that interlude section, ha, 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 where we have the vocals on the side there, and you have to set the like the thickness of that bass tone with just the kicks, that simplicity of it. Such a contrast to some of the other elements there. It's just great. It's great. It's not juxtaposition, but it's like, it's just range and dynamic range. And it's also just, it shows that we understand even when we've got heavier, more intense stuff, we need to bring it down. But then we don't need to sort of compromise on the sort of like the activity and energy there. It's just kind of having less of that mid to highs. But then of course we have the da 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 just entering with that. It's just so authoritative, and it just shows that we're ready to go to battle for this stuff. And it's cool. It's just there's so much oomph to it. And because of the variety of different styles, and not necessarily a wide range of styles, but like because of the diversity of compositions within this album so far, you get a feeling at this halfway point that you're in for even more of an interesting ride there. Not necessarily a fun one, because some of the stuff in this album so far has been pretty intense, like story wise. There's been some heavy stuff we've discussed, but I appreciate the effort we're making to kind of tie them together whilst adding different experiences. Across the board, things are pretty tight. I've got no real complaints at this point. I think there's only one song where I was like, could we have maybe sort of like, but then it's tricky because even in the track, I'm not sure whether it was, I think it might have been right through where I was like, I'm not sure if we need to repeat the hook that many times. It was also like, it's just simply maybe representative of a person constantly going back to that insecurity. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next 9 tracks. We'll check them out in a moment. And lo and behold, I have returned to complete the second half of this album review of Alkaline Kiss from Vices Inc. This is track 11, Faux Personality. That kind of sounded like a phone vibration, and I'm not gonna lie. That boom.
Pack your bags, I'm ready for a fresh start. I don't want you back. You think you're you're tough because you live without reason. It's not that deep, you're just bad at thinking. I don't want you back. We were okay, and then everything changed.
Oh.
Don't think of me. You're playing nice because you want another last chance. Tough luck, that's never gonna happen. I don't want you back. You think you're smart cause you say whatever. Will you think the same when I find someone better? I don't want you. We were okay, and then everything changed. Don't think of me again before you go away. We were okay, and then everything changed. Don't think of me. Do you feel regret when you know you're so
Just that pause is really
wrong?
intriguing.
Cause you thought you'd never get caught. I don't want you back. You think it's fine when you're stuck red-handed, but I'm all done with being taken for granted. I don't want you back. Don't want you, baby. Don't need you, baby. Don't want you, baby. Don't need you, baby. Don't want you.
Oh, we're bringing it down with the triads?
Don't want you, baby. Don't need you, baby. Don't want you.
Kind of almost 12-bar bluesish with the movements. Not with the rhythm, but with like the chord movements. Really fascinating ending to that. I like as well the fact that they aren't rushing to get to the next song after their one. Like they allow the track to sort of like send itself out, have a bit of silence or quiet before each one to sort of allow you to digest what was previously given to you. I think that's really cool. Faux Personality, from what I can tell, is a track about someone, I think, looking at what we had with I Really Wanna This Time and going, no, you're not getting that final chance. No, we've said this. We have done this again and again and again. And it's just not working, and I'm sick of it, and I don't believe you, this is BS, etc. It's just kind of iterating the fact that we are far more kind of aware of what the reality actually is, and we won't be sort of sucked back into it. I think that's kind of cool. I think that's a cool thing to talk about. It's a nice change from some of the stuff we had earlier where we were kind of questioning ourselves. Now we're questioning the other person. It's not just storytelling and lyrics within it. It's just there's like repetition of certain vowel sounds and consonants and stuff like that that just make for an interesting rhythm and sort of like melodic device on top of the other guitar, bass, and drum parts. There's some sort of rock and roll elements there, intermingled with some power chordal parts, moving into some sort of like interesting octave harmonies, like in that last section there. I appreciate there's like this kind of part in just the middle of the track or like the later half where like things just kind of pause out and gap and we stop and we just come back into it almost like the record stopped and we're starting again. And I just think it's great that at the start of this track we were immediately like, nope. It was a response to the previous track where we're like, nope, we are absolutely not doing this again. I'm sorry, we can't. And there's this kind of almost sort of like, I don't want to say playful because it's not the right word, but almost like we're so incredulous that this person is trying to do this again that we just simply just have no time for that. Almost offended by the existence of there being another attempt. I like the movement between some of the staccato elements of the verse section stuff with the contrast between that and the sort of like longer kind of fuller sounds of the chorus. And it's just a piece where it kind of, you feel like there's a turn coming and it makes you even more hopeful for the rest of the album. And I think that the end part where you have the boom and the brrrr at the end is kind of like the hope of that dream dying, I suppose, that things can return, that things are not going to be the same, that you have to cope with the fact that you've been told no. And that is a hard thing. That rejection is a hard thing. But to be fair, if you've already had so many chances and you made the first feel terrible, why should you get another chance? So I think that's an interesting way to end Faux personality, we've got Feeling So Alive, track number 12. They sparkle though, don't they?
On the edge, the precipice of an eternal enlightenment, offered the truth too timid to chew, swallowing, burning a hole through me, life and death.
Oh, double time with the kicks.
What it means to be this conscious. Angels, ghosts, and goblins, I can hear the memories calling. Feeling so alive. Feeling so alive. Are we part of a machine entertaining? A ruthless God who keeps the truth, hiding the true meaning. All the joy and laughter, why we cry and what comes after. When the mirror shatters, see apocalypse and rapture. Feeling so alive. Feeling so alive. What does it mean? What is it all for? What does it mean? What is it all for? Feeling so alive.
And like, I like the chorus vocals here, I like the harmonies here, because it almost sounds like it's a shared experience that everyone is kind of asking themselves, and we only ask ourselves when we get into sort of situations like this.
Feeling so alive. Feeling so alive. Feeling so
So this track's an interesting one. I kind of get that we are feeling almost like we're questioning our own existence. The spacey synthy textures that we have at the start almost seem like, again, we're inside our own head. Almost kind of like Cyanide, where instead of just wanting to sort of sleep through it and sort of like just try and kind of not necessarily face it, now we are looking at why we exist, our purpose, etc., and questioning it and trying to make sense of it. I appreciate that. I think that there's more to it than that, but that's the main message I got. But I think there's also parts where we talk about our own experiences that we've had so far, and we're trying to sort of associate the journey that we've had to where we are, and trying to sort of like assimilate that into a kind of a viewpoint or like a theory for it. There is a gentleness with the vocal performance, the way we express ourselves, not only by ourselves, but with the harmonies and like some of the chorus and like later sections that is just really pretty. And I think the glow of the chorusy guitar parts with the delay tails on nose, the way they sparkle and shine in the mix alongside some of those pad elements there, alongside the consistency of those sort of eighth note grooves on the drum parts, as well as the fills and stuff, but also like the bass line being more sort of supportive and pocketing here. I just feel like this is meant to be more of a smoother ride, despite any sort of like dynamic changes from any sort of chorus parts or distorted parts in the hooks. It's just meant to be more one that isn't trying to sort of have a sting in its tail, but it's one that is trying to be caring and kind. And there's this sort of magic to the whoa, the way we kind of like feeling so alive. We kind of go back to the hook line, and it's just a really satisfying loop that we go through. It's just so gentle, and it's yeah, loving, and it's almost like we're choosing at this point to be able to appreciate ourselves and ask the hard questions, and that can give us power over people who want to make us feel like we're not worth anything at all. So I think that that's a really good message to discuss within this, that sort of self-healing and self-care. And I feel like the theme overall with the balanced majorish tone there, a sense of wonderment and curiosity is piqued by the synth layers, and I just think it's meant to sort of sound like you're in your own space, your own galaxy, trying to figure out your place in that. So it's really cool. We have track number 13, It's Not Like That. We're loving our spacey reverbs there with a bit of grit. It's nice.
Seductive smile, fun to gaze. Can't resist your burning shame. Forbidden food calls my name. Sipping you like Cabernet. Kinda like the way it tastes. Body full and worth the wait. Loving, bleeding.
Oh, major turn. Was that a kind of like a harpsichord kind of layer? I'm not really sure what to make of It's Not Like That. Like lyrically. I'm not sure. I've heard a lot of the words clearly, but it's just trying to figure is it like is it describing in the chorus sections all the different things we're doing as human beings in our situation that we're in? and then doing everything we can in order to mitigate a situation or avoid it, but we just it's not looking like what we're doing, or the effect that we have no matter what we do just doesn't go away or something like that. Is that it? Just we have this major turn in the chorus there with like with a sense of inherent sadness to a lot of the minor parts there, with kind of a bit of overdrive or gain on the guitars with the sort of the riff at the start. You kind of come on with full bore with the guitar, bass, and drum parts afterwards there, with a great sense of pace there. The vocals coming really cleanly. It's just when you move into the chorus, it uplifts, and is it sort of celebrating the human condition, even if we don't necessarily know if we'll get it interpreted correctly? But then we talk about like the way the person tastes and stuff like that. So is it talking about how maybe we're afraid to get too into someone else in order to protect ourselves? Is that it? Like, even if we are feeling all these things and doing all these things, it's not like we really want to have that same situation with that person yet. Is it establishing boundaries or something like that? I feel like musically, it's really well handled. I love the force of the guitar, bass, and drums. A lot of the comments I'm making at this point are similar to the previous tracks. A lot of the progressions, like this is more of a traditional chord progression, like more of a popular one. Then it's very easy to follow and quite recognizable. Just the way it goes back to that down low kind of chugged, kind of lightly distorted guitar riff on top of the eighth note grooves. It's just it's a nice contrast. I think that some of the harpsichord a little bit there going between notes, kind of pedal noting it, was kind of dope, and that break between the hooks. I think the kind of spark, like the sinister kind of almost spooky sounding synth on top, is almost like we're being haunted by things in the past which are stopping us from being able to sort of move forward. But still, I think it's an effective piece for sure. I just would need a couple more times probably to kind of get more of an idea of what's going on within it. But I feel like, again, it's sung well, it's played well, and there's a great chemistry between the band. It's time for track number 14, though, Too Far Down.
If we go too far down, if we fall into a melody underground, if we ask for this, there's no telling what comes next. If we go too far down, there's no coming back. If we go too far down,
Really subtle call and response with that synth lead there.
it's all we are.
Not as subtle anymore, but that's okay.
Would you risk it all? Calm before the fall. If we go too far down, if we lose it all, the darkness underground. If we go too far down, to the end. If we all for this, there's no telling what comes next.
It's the power of having the kick removed. Just allowing stuff float is very effective.
There's no coming back. If we go too far down, if we fall into a melody underground, we ask for this, there's no telling what comes next. If we go too far down, there's no coming back.
Oh, sirens.
There's no
Emergency sirens.
coming back. There's no coming. All you left me, all you gave me. It's why
I wonder what the sparkly synths mean.
We ask for this, there's no telling what comes next. We go too far down, so coming back.
I think I got this one a bit more quickly. So like Too Far Down, I think after the It's Not Like That, maybe we're really into someone and we just wanted to like try and set boundaries. This one, it's like it's too far down. If we go into this with you, the new person, you need to understand that we might not be able to come up again. There's like this is the tipping off point. If you go past this point, things are gonna get kind of wild. Like to summarize it briefly, that's my kind of takeaway from Too Far Down. And again, I continue to enjoy the fact that you can kind of hit this coherent journey through this album that you can follow along through and kind of appreciate. A lot of the representation of the story is done more through the storytelling. Like there are points where you are left with more of a kind of a catchy sounding guitar bass and drum track that does have those kind of sort of sparkly kind of sense. I've said sparkly a lot. The way they flicker around the stereo field and stuff like that. It's similar to sort of some of the textures, and It's Not Like That. So maybe we're kind of coming on from that. We're trying to say, hey, look, these concerns we have with It's Not Like That, those are going to continue forward. But just the cheery sounding kind of da 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 da, kind of like on the guitar riff at the start with the hi hats, the basics, etc. You kind of get the feeling immediately that we're trying to sort of address the situation so that the person knows what they're getting themselves in for. And there are moments where the track floats because you remove those kicks, which has not been something we've really had a lot of. Typically, we have a very kind of core orient of the kicks, snares, and hi-hats or whatever cymbals. But in this one, it was just great to sort of be able to step away from that and to be able to just have things float, even with the cymbals involved. I think it was cool to have more of a breakdown section and that that last third there, or that like 60% point where things became halftime. And it's sort of more, no, seriously, you need to pay attention to this. This will be our kind of like, if we go further than this, there will be repercussions. I like that the track is slowing you down. So actually, I take back what I said about not necessarily knowing if the music was representing what the story was about, because that is an indication there structurally in regards to the groove of it. It's kind of like forcing you to pay attention to it. You can't just keep moving forward at a steady pace. You got to take a step. So I take that back. But again, we have a lot of the really palatable vocal melodies and harmonies there with the octave and power chord ingredients we've had throughout a lot of this, with the arpeggios at the start of the piece and the drums with some really fantastic transfers. I appreciate the work on the kit as well, and to exploring the drum kit, not being afraid to, because there's some parts in some of these tracks where the drums go dum 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 on the toms. I didn't know if I mentioned that. Just the sound design with those as well is great panning wise, but just knowing where to put the hits and also when to pocket is important. And I think that even though we're discussing the fact that if we go too far down, things could get hectic, I think there's like a hope that we'll be able to get through that little journey together, So I appreciate it. I think that the song makes sense and it's a nice follow on from the previous one. We just got Madrugada, which is number 15. And the bells. The bell tolls for thee. It's like a horror film, man. The vocals suited. Oh, the viola. Damn, got pipes. I'm impressed. I'm incredibly impressed. What an adventure that was. What? How do you describe that? How do you approach that? So this was, what does Madrugada mean? So apparently Madrugada means dawn or morning in Spanish. So that's a really fascinating sound for that. We have operatic vocals, which is something I would not have expected listening to. How do I say this? Hang on. This is a very different style. Okay, don't get me wrong. We can clearly sing, but up until this point, it's like we've suited that kind of sort of like pop punk kind of aesthetic there, the alternative kind of like vibe. We sing really well with our cleans and stuff like that. I'm gonna get in trouble for this. What I mean is that it's a step up to be able to handle those kind of almost like soprano-ish kind of vocals. It's got such this kind of purity to it that just suits the keys, the viola, the beltries. Just the environment is incredible. I want to preface that I am enamored with the vocals. They sound really pretty. But it's just the fact that we start so quietly. We have the bell at the beginning, that foley of there, the bell tolling for thee. Almost like we did go too deep and then we've suddenly really gotten into dangerous territory. And you have the right hand on the piano going there and the viola again picking up that low end and adding a bit of a buzz and kind of grit to it. And there's this sense of danger and like almost like old school horror movie soundtrack to it. Like we're in a very scary place. And it's kind of chilling and oh man, it sounds so cool. And just the way that you get those either those reverse takes or those piano takes at the end, just kind of sound just kind of fading out over the 30 seconds. Is just sensational. It's just such a different type of track to what we had previously that I think I was stunned by it. But I love the fact that we are continuing to innovate and try different things as we progress through this album. Well done with the singing. Well done with the different instruments included. Like we had more of a piano focus in this one than in previous tracks. I think that was a great accompaniment. And I like the fact that we, the beltries, like everything that just we created an environment within the piece there that was meant to almost, you could imagine, visibly imagine like a place of darkness there with someone kind of serenading on top of that. It's so strong. And it makes you curious to understand with 4 tracks to go, what is going to happen next? Because we have Vilify, number 16 here. Because not just that we have the tones of them, we're doing extra things to them in post. Are we gonna just have more instrumentals from now on? Great work developing that motif though. That drum fill, I'll go back a little bit, but that drum fill was tight. That was quick. That was a quick drum fill there. I like that. Hell yeah, man. I mean, clearly not a happy ending. Clearly there's been some more shenanigans. Great use of rotary reverb, though. Damn, it just ends. It just, that's crazy. Like, that seems like it could, that isn't the end of the album, clearly, because we have another 3 tracks after this. But Vilify, what do we think that's about? So I think Vilify is about someone who is, it's just describing how no matter how much you trusted the person, they just let you down again. That's basically my take on it. And the music kind of starts gently enough. It's not too forceful. Like, there's a bit of crispiness with the guitar tones and everything like that, and you got the bass in there holding on. There's some pretty sort of mid-range kind of guitar parts there that have a nice sort of majorish lean to them. But I think as you go through this track, you start hopeful, and then there are things that come into it that make you sort of feel like maybe this is not going to be the way that you have been told that it would be. And you kind of get more of those minor leanings there. And you kind of stick with that maybe relative minor or that sort of note in the key signature that sort of anchors it in that place. And you get the vocals slowly coming to get louder and louder, and until the point where you can't ignore them anymore. And you learn that deception is their only friend, and it's just, you know, they're being vilified. But like, I can't tell whether it's like, is it doubt, the thoughts coming to your head, that the person, how do I describe it? I can't tell if it's like an insecurity about the person lying to you again, or if I would say it's more so that you've been lied to again. And I just think, yeah, it's definitely about that. Starting things off a bit more positive and then getting back to the same place again. And you have that call out of that hook line or that main sort of passage. And the music builds and builds towards the end where it becomes more kind of anchored. And you kind of fester and seethe within it with those different guitar parts kind of overlocking each other with the repeaters on the vocals doing the same. And you have some really cool little drum fills like diddle diddle dun. Like just a 1, 2, 3 diddle diddle. Diddle diddle. Those are 30-second. Those are 30-second no drum fills. Those are quick, man. That's really cool. They can clearly play. I don't think we needed to add more to this because it was the effect of the song changing from positive to negative. Just having a bit of kind of extra sass with the kit was dope. It's cool as well that we're able to just allow our instruments to speak for us and not need to, again, spoon feed the story immediately. I like that we have a lot of adjustment with that. It's just made me wonder what's going to happen next with Forgotten Dust, track number 17.
It's clear, I fear, we stand at a crossroads where we escape ourselves in pursuit of the mystery they ask. How to go on when there's no going back. You swore to me you'd do whatever it takes. Now is the moment to show your hand. You'll carefully etch our names in stone and bury all the rest. The world is awaiting a blank
Damn. And switching in with the fiddle, octave fiddle there. And continuing on mod wheel. And that accent on the dust part kind of helps it stick. It's brutal, but it works.
Please don't forget the souls that perished without a wind. Please don't forget the souls that perished without a wind. Please don't forget the souls that perished without a wind. Please don't forget the souls that perished.
Fantastic shake up at the percussion here.
Please don't forget the souls that perish without a wind. Please don't forget we could be heroes, remembered for triumphing eternally. Or we could be nothing, nestled within the dirt, just forgotten dust.
Fantastic place for guitar solo here. Niche tone of it. That guitar solo, that end part, the way we tapped through that, the that was kind of like such a fantastic way to finish it, because just in that last quadrant, it's something we haven't heard this entire album, like shred. Like there's been like really restrained stuff. Like you can tell they can play the control of the bends, some of the movements there, a few of the kind of spicy sounding triplet passages, but just that part is just that little bit of kind of, hey, look what I can do. They knew that this was their big solo within the song, arguably, and they took it and they ran with it. And in this longer form track, you can make the most of that and do that. I'm blown away by that. That's phenomenal. Well done.
Remembered for triumphing
And I got chills there. I got actual chills. Wow. That was a transcendent experience. I'm thoroughly blown away by that. Thoroughly blown away by this. I think that their long form stuff, like Forgotten Dust as well as like Cyanide, is some of the best material on this album. Without question, this is my favorite song off of the entire track. They did an incredible job of exploring this throughout the entire subject matter.
How to go on when there's no
What I like about it, if we just play different bits,
we stand out waiting a flame us.
you just have all these different parts to it. It's not like one theme or motif kind of copied and pasted throughout. Your development, you're traversing the tale there. Ultimately, I think this is about someone sort of questioning whether we do want to allow ourselves to be someone better than we are, or do we just want to be just nothing, you know, like regardless of our connections to other people, regardless of what our insecurities and whatever are, what are we going to do? What are we actually going to be? Are we going to be that forgotten dust? Are we something special? Are we going to be heroes? I think that's the crux of it. And it's just, there's so much pull and feel behind it, but there's just so much compositional variety as well. It's a really colorful, sophisticated song. The way it's written, the way it's transferred and composed, etc. All the different ideas in the guitar, bass, drums, etc. The vocals, the force and power behind them, the way we transfer that lead guitar solo was just incredible there. Just the pull behind that, and the way that the lead continued over that last chorus, that was special. That is the kind of teamwork we need in a long form piece like this. You build, you kind of push it up, you kind of bring it like that. You just kind of get yourself to a point where it's elevated. It's a really special song. This is genuinely one of my favorite songs from Vices Inc. They've definitely, I think that the work they put in is absolutely spot on. There's little parts I liked as well. The wow, like the use of the octave pedal stuff or the mod pedal wheel that we haven't really had a lot of up until now. I thought that was kind of slick as well. And I just think as well, the fact that we explored stuff outside of the traditional major and minors, we explored the scale ranges and the notes and stuff. It was just clever. And I feel like I can't describe this track in a way that does it justice. It's just a song where I'd probably need to focus on it by itself for a bit, but very, very happy with it. It just sounds like that's where they need to be. They've made it. I Will Be Your Safe Bet, track number 18. I think they're just having fun with it at this point. Like, listen to this. Oh, swing.
I hoped you could tell that at the end of this battle, I hold you come winter, keep your dreams safe in my hands. The pain that you carry started pulling you down, all the shame that you bury deep beneath the ground. When your hope starts to wither, I'll be your place to land.
Sick. Oh, the countryish elements are kind of cute. They're just playing with chromatics now. This is like advanced stuff. It's just solid creative songwriting. It sounds... Were these, sorry to interrupt, I'll go back a little bit so we can hear it, but like, were these recorded in the same session as the previous, like 16? Like, there's slight differences. I might be wrong, but I'm hearing that Forgotten Dust and I Will Be a Safe Bit. I'm hearing slight differences. I might be tripping that they might have been recorded separately. I don't know, but just... Just great niching of the sides and mids in this. Oh, exciting. Oh.
That binds me to you. All this time, all you had to do was wait. Something deeper than the blues. I will take your pain as my own. All the mistakes you made are done.
What are they going to do to develop it at this point, though? Okay, a little bit of movement with the bass. So that was little bit less experimental than the previous one, the long form one, but I still enjoyed it. I kind of wonder whether this one was sort of more trying to. I don't know if it's connected. I'm part of why I'm wondering if these are the same like recording session or different. Like they're part of the same album clearly, but why I'm sort of questioning is I'm trying to find a connection between after Forgotten Dust, I'll Be Your Safe Bet. Maybe we're questioning our worth, our existence, our choices and everything. And maybe we've decided that with I Will Be Your Safe Bet that we are going to be that safe place for the other person, that we are going to give them the support they need to get over the trauma that they've endured through that situation they've been in and stuff like that. Because I think this is what this is about. I Will Be Your Safe Bet is meant to sort of communicate, hey, look, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. You can rely on me. You can trust me. I know you've been through stuff, but we will make it. And I think there's this sense of joy and cautious optimism that is throughout this piece. There are these moments where we kind of come down and we kind of do little shifts there, and it's almost very peaceful and serene in the sense that usually it wouldn't. Like if you had any of the kind of grittier textures we might have had in other tracks, it wouldn't be. But just because of the swing feel to it, it's almost like a meditative, you know. You have these incredible like vibratos and harmonies that start with the vocals, and then you have like that kind of very poignant guitar riff, and you start building up, and then you have that key change, that tempo shift, should I say, and it just got bam into the swing, and like we're getting into the dance between us. And what I kind of like, for example, is the fact that the bass kind of boom, 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 like it kind of rolls all the root notes and kind of dances around a bit. The guitar has some leading notes that kind of work well with the major scale, with like almost a country scale-ish kind of chromatic there on like the fifth or whatever. But what I dig as well is that actually, I think this track is about the message. I think that is, as opposed to the previous track where we had that really sort of like wild guitar solo, and we've had a lot of other solo elements in previous tracks. I think this one is meant to sort of be more about the message that you're trying to communicate. You're really sort of trying to reinforce the person, even if you have a break and then kind of get sort of like focused on it. You're just trying to really let the person know that it's going to be all right. You're not trying to distract them from that. So I think the instruments pocketing more on this one makes sense. And it's very kind and loving. I think that's an interesting way to finish an album. Like someone's gone through hell and you're just like that person in their life that's like, no, seriously, I know you've been through stuff, but it's all right. I think that's a nice way to end an album because it's basically letting you know that the person's had a happy ending. I adore it because it's a big journey to go through with a 19-track album, and if it ends on a sad note, that's just hard, especially if you become emotionally invested in the story that's being told, but we don't have that issue here. So even though I was wondering at like the 5-minute mark how we would develop the composition further, I think in retrospect it doesn't necessarily need that. It was more than enough as it was, and you already had so much variety within this album already that having a song, even in longer form factor, that is a bit more consistent is totally fine. It's totally fine. It's very palatable. It's just a good time, really. It's just good vibes. I feel like I'm kind of condensing a lot of this feedback into smaller chunks so I can kind of, because a lot of the feedback, just before I go on to My Little Dreamer, a lot of the feedback so far, especially with the last few tracks, has sort of been like different things that have occurred rather than specific to like the overall track and kind of describing everything. Because I feel like there'd be a lot of repeated information because a lot of the quality is consistent throughout. I just want to make sure that it's, even though this is a long video, it's not longer. But we have one more song to go, My Little Dreamer, and then we'll do the overall conclusion and analysis.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Cool counting.
Heart stone cold, well-known stranger to me. Distant home feels like a cage where the zip code. Mine let go. I'll be your sword and shield and dream, my little dreamer. Dream a better life for you and me. Dream your way through the night.
Great tale. Is that a woodwind sublayer?
Stay
great use of head voice there.
Find us some closure as you await the sunrise.
Tremolo strings?
Everything I did, everything I did, I did it for you. Everything I did, everything I did, I did it for you. Everything I did, everything I did, I did it for you. My little
Glockenspiel?
dreamer, dream better life for you than me. Dream your way through the night. Dream and wake to a new world. Guardian angel by your side. Dream to find us some closure as you await the sunrise.
I'm not sure what the that's meant to represent. Wow. Okay, so that was My Little Dreamer by Vices Inc., the final track on the Alkaline Kiss album. What do I think this song is about? I think it is about someone finally getting to the end where maybe you are beside them in bed and you know how much they've gone through and you are that sort of safe haven for them. And you're kind of committing in your head, you're thinking, yeah, no, we're going to have a different future together. When we get up in the sunrises and stuff like that, you're dreaming right now, but we're going to go to a better place. You know, we're going to improve things and make them better. That's just my kind of, I think it's kind of lovingly or like really caring about someone and being beside them and kind of like they're the dreamer, you know, they're the person wanting a better future and you're trying to help them provide that. It's kind of that affection to someone else that you're close to. I think that's what the song is about. And I adore that. I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that this track is incredibly kind. I like the content at the start where it's kind of more of a sort of acoustic experience there. I think that the way that we explored the kind of almost Hotel California-esque kind of processed sort of strummed steel strings on the side there, the way they strum those open chords there, and this is fully an acoustic performance. I've just realized, just listening back through it, there was no drums as far as I'm aware. There were like some kind of like some little sounds like that, maybe some like sort of sub woodwinds that I could hear in certain parts, but like, and there were like the strums of the viola, kind of like that. But it's more focused on that kind of more acoustic sort of folksy element of the guitars, the bass, and the low end there, nicely captured, exploring the fretboard a bit, not too much though, just enough to kind of be meaningful. Having a neutrality to some of the strum parts allows more color for some of the vocal harmonies and the melodies to come together. And I just liked the range. I liked the sort of like the dominant seventh chord that we had at the end of the chorus and how it kind of flowed into the next part really smoothly. Add a bit of tension, but not too much that it would start to sound kind of dark. I think the kind of warped kind of the tremolo layer on the side there just made it almost sound sort of surreal and a bit spacey. And I'm not really sure if I liked it, but I think it was an interesting tone to have there. I think that it made it sound better and added a points of interest throughout the track. I'm just glad that we were able to kind of taper that off near the end so that it was left with the guitars and the bass. You kind of come back to where you came from. Oh, and there were like arpeggios, like sort of picked parts to it as well. Don't get me wrong. Like I could hear like, just because I'm referencing little bits back just before I move on to the final part, just sort of make sure I'm okay with it. But there are like picked parts. There's a very bright sounding guitars, but they sound soulful and tuneful within the mix. There's no clashiness. I haven't really spoken about the post-production much throughout this entire album review. I'll talk about it in like the conclusion, but it's very good. The way they've niched not only notched the vocals as well as the brightest sort of guitar parts and the strings and everything else together, for there to be no resonances is fantastic. I just think it's a very mature way to finish an album. You had Bright Skies, Overcast through all the way to My Little Dream. It's been a hell of a journey. I think that again, that folksy aesthetic adds sort of like their dream-like circumstance where you just are at that point where you can have that relative peace to it. You can sign off. Tomorrow will be a new day. But we're gonna talk about this album more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this album from an act named Vices Inc. titled Alkaline Kiss. This is going to be more of a generalized overview of the album, as I've already spoken about every single one of these 19 tracks individually as part of this review. So the comments are going to be generalized. I'll try and still be thorough, but just if you're looking for me to list everything that I've said about all 19 tracks here, that would take a long time. And it's probably better for you to find the individual tracks as per the timestamps in this, if it's on YouTube in the upload, to go check them out. This is a wonderful album. It's incredible. What is Alkaline Kiss about? I think it's about the poison of love, your desire for someone, and how that can really mess you up, and how it screws you up, and the kind of gaslighting and the imposter syndrome associated with it. It's just the journey, I think, from someone who's just in a really awful relationship where they keep starting and starting again, kind of getting broken, and it just gets worse and worse. Finally finding a safe harbor with someone else who actually does want to take care of them and to be equal partners and not be scummy and stuff. And I just appreciate that story. I think it's a wonderful tale that is told very well across this. It's a long album. It's 1 hour 21, and no song is the same as the other. Again, it's very difficult to say this is this album. The band themselves consider themselves to be alternative. I think that's a really good label for this. We have tracks like there are songs. A lot of it is kind of more sort of like pop punkish kind of like alternative rock stuff with distorted guitars, bass, and drums. But there's also tracks like Madrugada where there's sort of operatic vocals. There are keys, there's violas, and there's bell trees, and there's lots of synthetic layers and atmospheric parts there. And just so there's bits of Foley as well, like there's not only spoken word stuff and the way that's processed, but also the police sirens and the big wave, the tsunami sirens, and you've got those, and you've got like bells tolling and stuff like that. There's so many different things included. It's such an interesting record. But to properly enunciate, should I say enunciate? It's not a word. It's a tale. I really enjoyed the journey. The vocals are phenomenal, sensational. It's the best album yet for it. Just to go through the members here: Eleanor Langthorne on lead vocals, viola; Jagger Hicks on guitars, keyboards, back vocals; Hannah Leigh Adams bass, and Christy Yeaton drums, just to get that out of the way just before we go into it, just in case I forget to mention names. But I'm going to sort of speak about the roles more so, but just so you have that in place. What sold me was Madrugada. We were so effortless in our vocal range. The kind of chilling beauty of the way we vocalized it, the way that we were present in amongst the keys, was transcendent. There were songs as well, like Forgotten Dust, where we just naturally went into that kind of power ballad-ish kind of mode. That it was just, we were comfortable in our range. There were so many wonderful little tails and bits of vibrato, and the harmonies were exquisite. And we smashed it. We knew when to go low, when to go high. We even had some rapping stuff, I think, and Only a Fool as well. We had whispered parts. We had like so many different ideas that were explored, and they were handled really neatly, really well. There was nowhere where I thought, why are we doing this? Why does this exist? Because we clearly understood, we had a clear vision for what we wanted, and we understood how to write music that suited that story. And even though I think I might have missed certain parts of this, I'm hoping I understand the overall precedent of it. It's just, it's great. The no complaints about the vocals, backing or mains, just wonderful. It's honestly like, it's a 9 out of 10 for me in regards to the vocals in this, and that's an extremely high score for me, because I don't give it nines. I just don't. I genuinely don't. I mean, I'm sort of like having to process all this in a way where it can be kind of summarized, but I don't think it can. To talk about the actual album itself, again, a 1 hour 21, the songs each there are longer form tracks, which, you know, Forgotten Dust has lots of different twists and turns, including like a massive sort of solo section at the end. There were lots of different guitar solos and stuff like that. Like a lot of this was verse chorus. Madrugada was more through composed. There were some of the longer tracks were more sort of like verse chorus oriented. There were interludes, there were bridges, there were lots of solo sections there. There are songs which started immediately with the vocals and guitar and bass and drums. Other tracks, such as the very first one, had like things just slowly build over 30 seconds, which is an especially ballsy move in this day and age, where people are sort of concerned that if they don't have the music hit the listener straight away, they won't have the attention span for it. Vices Inc. are clearly in a place where they can write whatever kind of song they want, and it works. The only track I was kind of iffy on was Right Through, simply because of the fact that we had quite a bit of a similar sort of tone to it. But I also don't know that we necessarily could have improved it by like taking away some. It's more, we kind of rode the line there. But then to be fair, there were other tracks like I Will Be a Safe Bet where we had a similar sort of like coloration to a lot of the track throughout the 6 minutes 55, where it was far beyond the 2 to 4 minute sweet spot. But I didn't mind the fact that there wasn't a lot of twists and turns with that one, simply because it was just really pleasant to listen to. I think that you could also argue, again, as I mentioned in that track review, that, you know, that you're constantly going back to that constant concern of worry and anxiety about the people being able to see you through the windows and stuff like that. So I get it, if that repetition is there, it kind of makes sense in the context. It's just like you make these allowances because they clearly are cognizant of what's required to make great music, and these are not accents, they're deliberate decisions. And, you know, you don't write music like this without really knowing what you're doing. So a lot of it comes down to personal preference as a music reviewer, primarily because a lot of the fundamentals are kept. Were there any clear, obvious issues with the actual instrumental performances or vocal performances? No. They can sing. They can play the guitars, bass, drums, viola, piano, all the different sort of synth and kind of pad instruments there. Well, they understand how to layer things. Not only that, but also include the bits of like the sirens and the Foley and other elements in the radio static and stuff like that we had in other tracks. And there's so many different styles of music that, again, to try and sort of like put it into a little kind of little box would just be, I think it would be awful to do that, because it reduces it in a way that's unfair. I think that honestly that you need to listen through this album in your own time to have a true experience with it. But I think if I talk about a few of the main instruments and try and sort of summarize my thoughts and feelings on those, I think what I appreciated about the guitar is that we had, mainly when the acoustic steel strings were strummed, such as in tracks like My Little Dreamer, they were bright, they shimmered, they shone, they glowed, we strummed or we picked. And the cleaner guitar parts there in other tracks, we either arpeggiated, played the individual strings of those chords, or we kind of, again, we palm muted or whatever. And then in the sort of sections, we either went power chords or 4-bore octaves. The lead guitar parts were wonderful because we not only explored the major and minors, we also had some interesting sort of country scale moments or blueses or pentatonic scale parts. And we also pocketed with the guitars a lot of the time. We could clearly shred as per Forgotten Dust, but like there was a lot of the time we were more, I think, trying to play respectfully to what the vocal melodies we're doing. We're trying to be a foil for those, and I think that was really clever, because if you try and do too much, it just becomes more like it's a guitar solo song, and you didn't have that here. It's very tasteful, you know. There's a time and place for it, as per Forgotten Dust, but the rest of these tracks were a bit shorter. They were features, and they were great teammates. I think that the bass playing was just solid. I think that we typically pocketed and stayed with the root notes, but there were also moments where we explored the fretboard, the little hammer-on pull-off bits. We went up and down. We kind of divorced ourselves from the bass and guitar harmonies and kind of made our own identity within the piece. And we had moments where it was just drum bass, and it was just so tight. And yeah, absolutely no issues with that at all. I think that the drums were sensational. I appreciated the fact that we were very sort of like tight with keeping track of the tempo when there were tempo changes. It was just seamless. We explored the toms and had lots of interesting 16th, with 32nd note fill parts as well, which were kind of sensational. There's really impressive speed and dexterity to that. But it was also that we knew when to sort of not have kicks. Sometimes things just floated with the cymbals. We had moments where the drums would go side to side like that. It was more of a soundscape kind of thing. Even in an acoustic performance, we knew not to have the drums, but they had the dot, dot, dot kind of thing as a percussive device, but not more of a melodic one. It's just an awareness of what's required to niche with everything else from like an instrument that is not melodic and it has a core function. The keys, when we had them in, sometimes they were very kind of minimalist, like offbeat, dun, dun. Other times they were Madrugada, where they were far more explorative and had not only major or minor sort of arpeggios and stuff going on with the left and right hands, but also we would go parallels and we'd go down and it would be unexpected and it would just be sensational because it was so kind of creative and it invoked a sense of curiosity or intrigue from me personally because I was wondering what was going to happen next because it was not predictable. The synth layers that we had there in parts were either atmospheric or we had little kind of higher range kind of leads that complemented the vocals with guitars. And we typically, they were more sort of spacey or kind of ambient, or they were in songs where we were trying to looking into ourselves and being a bit introspective, such as, like Cyanide, or was it Too Far Down or something like that? Like there are tracks where we really... it's just the music surrounded us and we kind of, I think there was like going from It's Not Like That to Too Far Down, there was similar synth tones that connected the two to help you understand them. And I don't know how to describe it. It's not like there was a crazy synth solo or whatever, but it's just knowing the minimalism of like which specific notes to use to integrate and the way that does add sort of, and there were lots of other fun tones and mysterious ones. And it was more kind of, it was just more just sort of niche in there to make it more, but on the way that was too much. And I know I didn't necessarily understand the viola component in the last track there with the but what I will acknowledge is that I thought it was a really interesting sound. And I appreciate its place in Madrugada as well. It's not that I dislike it or disagree with it, it's just more that contextually it's just something I'm missing. And as a music reviewer, again, given the fact that Vices Inc. know what they're doing, I kind of question my interpretation of it, and I would typically kind of want to listen to it again just to make sure I wasn't missing anything important. So that's a compliment, if anything else. The theme overall with this is just too difficult. Like, I've discussed the individual themes throughout, and a lot of the comments I have on the actual music come down to, I know how to collectively state, this is a big album for Vices Inc. I suppose to say it's a big album because they're a band that is just so entrenched and clearly understands what they're doing, as evident from this. I don't know what they could do to improve. I feel like they've got such an identity now that they're going on tour. They're going on a tour of Northeast tour of the USA in February 25. They're successful. They're going out there and doing things, and they should, because this music's fantastic. I mean, like, their track Truculent, which was a word I learned today, has got 23,000 plays, and that's honestly like awesome. That's really good. It's hard to get noticed in the music industry nowadays. So it's great that they're touring because they actually have people that want to listen to their music. And the effort that they've put in here is just, I hope they continue, but as a music reviewer giving feedback, I don't know what they can improve on. They already understand that they can't take the listener's attention for granted. They do all these wonderful, they understand the scales and modes, and they have chromatic changes in bits where they go down like half a step or something like that, and then half a step, and they have kind of weird kind of tritone bits sometimes. They understand. They know how to, I think honestly they're taking from a lot of the music from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where a lot of its stuff was kind of like this. They're not trying to put themselves in the box, and I appreciate that. I think that alternative label should stay. So I don't know if that was helpful or not. The studio recording, mixing, mastering, the stuff I haven't really spoken about throughout this album. From a perspective of someone who understands, EQing is a pain in the ass. And when you have singers in that higher range there, it's imperative that, especially when you've got distorted elements and brighter parts, that you notch those and you niche those frequencies and you figure out how to get them together. And we did a spectacular job of polishing that this time. I'm incredibly happy with the way it's been produced. I think that Everything sounded like it made sense in the free spectrum of stereo field. The music surrounded you in the headphones. There were vocal harmonies left to right. They moved around. They did all sorts of acrobatics. It was wonderful. And even though there was like one track where I thought there was a slight bass resonance, that's in 19 and it was for like 5 seconds. And it's just like, how man? Like, how do you do that? It's such consistency. And just, they can clearly sing. They don't need an assistance in post. This wasn't beat doctored and quantized and stuff like that as far as I can tell. They just played their instruments incredibly well and it made sense. And they clearly give a shit. And I really hope that their tour goes well, and I hope they find success with this. I just think it's commercial grade at this point. I got no complaints about it. It's a wonderful album, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to review it. My favorite track off of it was Forgotten Dust. And honestly, again, if I had to give it a score, I'd give it a score of about 9 out of 10, which is, again, it's an extremely high score for me. Extremely high score for me. It's, if not a 9, a strong 8, which is still incredibly high for me. I've got nothing else to say about it. This is already like 2 hours long, and I know that that's quite a long video. So if you're watching this, thank you for doing so. Vices Inc. If you're watching this, I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a happy holidays, and everyone else as well, happy 2025, because I think this will probably be going out on New Year's Eve. But thank you for watching my review of this album from an act named Vices Inc., titled Alkaline Kiss, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via their various social medias and their website and Spotify and all that, and stay cool and stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'm just going to stop myself in case I've forgotten anything. I've spoken about everything. Yeah. I just got to make sure I don't miss anything. So what happens is I'll miss it, and I'll kick myself afterwards. Stay cool, Shredders. Spiderhands Out. Happy holidays, and all the best for 2025.